It's a good day to have a good day. Hello, everybody. My name's Cece Ray. Thanks for joining me here at Break the Dish, where we break the news and dish out the tea. We are recapping The Valley, Persian Style. This show is so good. I mean, if you haven't had a chance to see it, go back, watch the show, and then come back to this video so that we can recap together. It is so good. I love seeing Golnessa, Mercedes, and Reza back on our screens. But I have to tell you, man, snobby Sky. Ooh, she's a handful. But before we get into it, you know what to do. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, because here we break the dish. We are recapping The Valley, Persian Style, Season 1, Episode 6. I am in love with the show. This is such a good show. I mean, I did miss seeing Golnessa and Mercedes and Reza, but I wasn't quite sure at first, but the dynamic is really good. Now, when we start this recapping, we're going to go back to Episode 5. And why I'm doing that is so that you understand the premise for Episode 6. Okay, so they are all renting a home in Palm Springs, and Sky is setting the table for dinner. Reza is helping her. I've already nicknamed her Snobby Sky. And man, her colors really come out on this episode. So he was saying how, like, he never knows how to set the table. Like, do you do salad fork, then dinner fork, so forth. She's like telling him not only what to do, but in this condescending tone. And then to put the icing on the cake, she's like, don't do a messy job. Really awful. So now they all get down, they sit down for dinner. Greg has cooked the dinner. He's had steaks on the grill, and there goes Snobby Sky. She starts cutting her food. She's like, is this organic? Is it grass-fed? Oh, because it's chewy, very chewy, which springs up the conversation about this grocery store, which apparently is a high-end grocery store called Irwan. Now, Natasha explains that when you go to Whole Foods, you could buy a pint of strawberries for $8, but at Irwan, it would be $30. And so they're asking her about shopping at Irwan, and Sky's like, oh, I know everybody there, and, that's the only place I would shop. The quality's the best. And Reza's like joking around because, she was thinking she wanted to go sell the house in the Valley and go back to Beverly Hills. And, he's like, oh, you better curb that shopping if you want, a home over in, Beverly Hills. And her husband's like, yeah, I'm not quite sure that's going to work out. So Sky starts to say how, listen, I want a larger home. I don't like the Valley. I don't like the food. I don't like the vibe. Like, she's going on about the Valley. And Golnessa is like, we're on a show called The Valley. Sky's like, so what? And Rizzo's like, you would think that you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth and a trust fund. And then Greg's also trying to explain that, it's kind of offensive, that, when he's originally from the Valley, and when she speaks like this, it's offensive to somebody who lives in the Valley or is from the Valley. And, so then Reza says to Sky, what did you do when Tannen brought out her serum to show you? Because remember, she's thinking about creating a serum for your face, and I guess she's probably going to broaden that out eventually. She said, I put it on my hands and then I put it on my dog. Chris was like, do you think that was a good look? Well, I mean, Sky right away looks at Tan and she's like, do I charge you for my jewelry? She's like, are you trying to say I don't buy your jewelry? She's like, no, of course you buy my jewelry. She's like, but don't I give you a discount? Tan is like, now you're making it seem as though you're doing me a favor. And Golnessa is like, she's warning Sky. She's like, maybe you could say it in a different way. Maybe you don't have to say you don't like the ballet. Maybe you could say, it's not for everyone. But Golnessa keeps warning her, like, look, I can pop off and I don't want to pop off, Well, Sky didn't quite get that message. Next thing you know, Golnessa is popping off the only way that Golnessa can pop off, And Sky turns around to Golnessa and she says, I will drop you like the napkin that I wipe my nose with. You are a piece of shit. Mm-hmm. Well, now they're holding Ganessa back. Let's just say it that way. So Sky goes back into the house. Sky's husband is just sitting there. He doesn't understand how everything got out of hand. And kind of underneath his breath, he says, she's not herself. Oh, she's herself, all right. You're just used to her, that's all. So now this is how that episode ended. So now we are into episode 6. And it picks up right where we left off, okay? So, Tannen is still sitting at the table and she's like, I help promote her business. I buy her jewelry. She's like, this was kind of like a slap in the face. Riza goes into the house to talk to Sky and he says, come talk to your best friend. Sky's like, get out of my face. And he's like, you don't have a reason to be bougie. Like, what are you doing, And so she's leaving. She's getting an Uber. Reza comes out. He's like, your wife's packing up in there. So Bamshad goes in. He's like, what's going on? She's like, I'm leaving, And Sky says, those people are pieces of shit. I don't want them in my life. And then in her confessional, she's like, I don't think I'm better, but I know how to create boundaries. Like, what planet is this chick living on? So then RJ, he was on a first date. He's like, wow, this is a great first date, And so that's kind of where that night ended. Like everyone's dispersing and playing in the pool or going to bed or whatever. Like, hi everyone, Cece Ray here. I wanted to tell you about one of my favorite, and I do mean favorite, websites for savings, and we all love savings. It is called Morning Save, and I'm going to show you why. Okay, so see this? Now, I'm showing you this for a reason, okay? This is Dermalactives. It's a 7-in-1 LED light therapy mask. Now, you and I both know you can't find this for less than $100 anywhere, okay? I bought this for $39. Matter of fact, I bought one for my daughter too, and I bought it for $39 at Morning Save. Now, they not only just have beauty products, I mean, they have everything from fashion, home interior, organization, even sometimes cleaning supplies. But there is a catch. If you find something on that website and you don't buy it immediately, it could be gone. Just like that. Because they only have so much inventory. And when it's sold out, it's sold out. So make sure you visit Morning Save. Go to the link in my description down below and start all of your incredible savings. So now the next morning, we see Sky at her home with Bamshad, and he's asking you like, "How you doing?" Because you weren't doing that great last night, and she's basically like, while they were sucking the blood out of me, you just sat there. And Bamshad's like, "You're right. I froze. I apologize. I'm sorry." And Sky was like, "I've dealt with this for years, you freezing." And she's like, "It's had an effect on my life." Divorce him then. I mean, like, seriously, what is wrong with this chick? Um, so now we see MJ. She's working for the agency. She's meeting with, guess who? You guessed it, Mauricio Umansky. How many shows is this guy going to show up on? Is this 3, 4? Like, how many shows? But she's telling him that, she wants to do well. She really enjoys working with him. She's getting ready to have an open house. And he says, "Well, invite me and I'll give you a proper assessment, you know." Um, then you see Tannen and Greg. They're going out for their date night. And they're saying that, they feel as though the communication between the two of them is much better. He says that, he sees other relationships and he doesn't want to go down that path that these other relationships are going down, so he wants to make sure that they're good. And then they start talking about having a girls' night and a boys' night, okay? Greg's like, "Well, I want to invite Bombshot." And, Tannen's like, "You should, because these two are best friends." And he's like, "Well, what about Sky?" And she said, "I haven't heard from her, which means that she's taking no accountability." Um, that's the end of it. So Greg kind of mentions that, listen, he doesn't want this relationship to disperse. Bombshot is his best friend. He doesn't want to see it end over just an argument, you know. So RJ now steps into the picture trying to bring the group together. So he takes Sky out to lunch and he says, "Look, this has been a long-term relationship and, I don't want to see that break apart." And, he starts explaining to Sky that, he's really gotten a chance to get to know Greg and Tannen. And he knows that Greg and Bombshot are best friends. And right away, Sky was like, snobby Sky. She's like, "Tannen will never be my best friend again." Like a 6-year-old. Seriously. So RJ's trying to explain to Sky, like, "Look, it's a shame to like cut things off when they're fixable, you know?" And then Sky says, "Well, maybe things would be different if she would have reached out." But in her confessional, this shows you the true colors of Sky. So she says, when the problem starts with Tannen, she doesn't feel the need to initiate because she's done nothing wrong. She's like, and in the past, every time there's been a conflict, it's always been Tannen's fault. It's always because of her behavior and what she did, and because Sky didn't like it. That sums that relationship up in a nutshell. So then Natasha and Amir are having this big talk, and this is about his deceased wife. They've never really spoken about it, even though they have children of their own and everything. And this is sparked up from the medium that they saw a couple weeks ago. And, she's wondering if he's still in love with her. And he's like, "I'm always going to love her, but I'm in love with you. And so basically, they decide now that they're going to go together to visit her grave. And it was a good talk. I mean, it was a serious talk, but it was a good talk. Um, and they are such a good couple. They really are a good couple. So now we have girls' night and we have boys' night. Now, this is funny. Girls' night is over at Greg and Tannen's house, and Tannen's been cooking. She's got this beautiful spread laid out. Adam has been invited on the girls' side, and they're having a nice, beautiful sit-down dinner where the boys' side is at RJ's condo. He barely has cheese and crackers out. I mean, it really did look sad. And so on the girls' side, Gonessa says to Natasha, okay, spill it because I know you met with Sky. Natasha says, well, she looks at Tannen. She's like, Tannen, she's open to hearing your side, but she's never going to trust you. And she said, and when it comes to you, Gonessa, Sky says that you can't be trusted and you're dangerous. And she brought up about, I guess Gonessa had attacked somebody in a parking lot. Well, that did not sit well with Gonessa. Let's put it that way. On the boys' side, of course, they're talking about Bamshad and Sky. Bamshad is there, and he says, look, she's not here, but I've never seen my wife disrespect anyone. Were you at that dinner, Bamshad? Or were you sleeping? Reza turns around and says, I want to apologize for, putting you in this position. And, Bamshad basically is like, yeah, let's just give it some time, And so now RJ is meeting up with Sky again in this restaurant. And, she goes, oh, you guys have boys' night, you don't want to tell me what was said. And he was like, well, we were talking about you. And he's like, I can tell you that Reza took accountability. And she's like, that's good. And I'm glad to hear, he apologized to Bamshad. That's important. And before anything else basically could be said, the waiter comes over and he's like, do you want to wait for your third party before you order? And now, Sky feels like she's ambushed. Here comes Tannen walking through the door. And that's where it ends. So what'd you think? If you were going to rate this episode, how would you rate it? I think it was a solid 8. I really do. The dynamics are incredible. But let's just have a chat a second. Snobby Sky. I mean, wow. Number one, she wants to move to Beverly Hills. I don't know what she thinks she's going to get over there because they don't live in some mansion in the valley. And you can get more for your buck in the valley. So I don't know what she's thinking. The only thing she is thinking is the zip code. Because she's basically showing that she's shallow and vain in that aspect. But snobby Sky, I mean, the way she talks to people, like your jaw just drops on the floor. Like you can't believe that somebody would talk to somebody like that. And yet she does. It's incredible. I can't believe the group even talks to her. And I think the only reason why they do is because of Bamshad. And I mean, he's married to her. He knows how she is. Matter of fact, in one of his confessionals, he even said, like, she holds grudges. It's not healthy. Really, Bamshad? Um, Snobby Sky. You could hope that by the end of the season, with the reactions from the fans like you and I, the reactions from the cast, that it would open her eyes and she would go, wow, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I was a little out of line. Maybe I could adjust my attitude. But then again, maybe we could hope to see pigs fly. I'm just saying. But what did you think? Start a conversation. I love it with those comments down below. And you know what I ask you every time? Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, because here we break the dish.